December 7 polls. Meanwhile, security officials have identified more than 300 flashpoints in the Upper West region and 70 others in the Eastern region.
We put in strategic measures seriously with other sister security agencies, and these measures have been able to seal all the leakage in the system.
We'll hear from the police who say they are leaving no stone unturned as they keep a close eye on the problem areas. Top Story is brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasem, the nation builder, and Vodafone, the future's exciting ready. My name is Ernest Manu. Now, President Akufo-Addo has tasked the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, to ensure the 2020 general elections are conducted in a transparent, credible, and fair manner. According to him, he does not want to be a precedent of a crooked election. He made these comments at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission today when he went there to file his nomination for this year's general elections.
Elections are not meant to be decided by you or the officials that work for you. You are the referees of the contest. The election is supposed to be decided by the people of Ghana. And we're hoping that the arrangements that you have put in place will enable the Ghanaian people to manifest their will on the 7th of December and choose the next government of the Fourth Republic. So far, the work that you have done has given considerable confidence to the majority of people in our country that in you and in the leadership of the Electoral Commission, we have people who are committed to a free, fair, credible, and transparent process. We hope that that will mark the conduct of the elections of 7th December.
And you have the President Akufo-Addo there. Now, presidential correspondent Elton Bobe joins me in the studio with more on this. Elton, you were with the president today. Before he made these comments about a free and fair elections, charging the EC to make sure that it is a transparent one, there was some interaction between him and the commissioners. What happened?
So for him, he thought his presence there was going to afford him the opportunity to go through the documents of the Electoral Commission chairpersons so that they could bring finality to the nomination forms. Because according to him, he said to tour the Upper East region from tomorrow till the weekend, and for that matter, he will not be in town tomorrow because the Electoral Commission is allowing 5 days for this process, which will end on Friday, and that he thought his president was going to allow him and the Electoral Commission chairperson to go through the documents, everything, and then
so they can close that chapter.
Exactly, because remember that the law governing public elections, that's CI 127, makes some provisions that must be met before one can be declared a candidate for the upcoming general elections, and one of which is the fact that before you even file your nominations with the Electoral Commission, you must have at least 2 signatories from each of the districts to back your nomination, and also you must have filed your tax returns and all obligations relating to taxes, and then more importantly, you must have come through with the nomination of your running mates, and also if you want to go through the 1992 Constitution, you must be a Ghanaian, you must be of sound mind, and you must be 40 years and above. Now, because he's a Senate president, it's assumed that he's met all the criteria, but this is the CI governing the elections. So that's
he still wanted to be sure, cross all the T's and dot the I's.
He will be given the opportunity to go through all the pages one after the other, get himself satisfied, and then he can walk away of the room with the firm assurance that everything is done and dusted, and for that matter, he will just be waiting for the Electoral Commission to now say that this aspirant is now a candidate on this
as it
particular
stands now, you
party.
cannot hold yourself a candidate.
Absolutely,
until the
because the process is that you file your nomination, and what the Electoral Commission has set out to do is to set up two committees. One is a technical committee. The technical committee's job is to look at all the documents provided in the nomination forms and authenticate it. And the other committee is the IT committee. They have to now establish the genuineness of the voter's ID card. That is a key requirement in the acceptance of your nomination form. The EC chair has been explaining more why these two committees have become necessary.
The Commission has developed a detailed checklist that embodies the criteria to be satisfied by the presidential candidates as prescribed by law. The template will guide the scoring and awarding of marks by the teams established by the Commission, who will scrutinize and review each of the nomination forms submitted. This year, the Commission has established two teams who have been tasked to review all the forms submitted. The technical team has been tasked to scrutinize the forms submitted to ensure that the presidential candidates meet the criteria as set out in the law, namely that the presidential candidate is at least 40 years of age, that he or she has satisfied all tax obligations, and that he or she has nominated a vice presidential candidate, among others. The second team, that is the IT team, has been charged with the responsibility of scrutinizing all the voter ID cards of the presidential candidates and their supporters to verify whether the candidates and their supporters are indeed registered voters. Both teams have been provided adequate training and orientation to carry out their functions as prescribed by law. The guiding principle for both teams is clear. They are to operate within the confines of the law. They are not to exercise discretion in the matter. Above all, they've been tasked to be fair and yet firm in executing their duties. We have no doubt that the process will be transparent, fair, and peaceful. Additionally, we are confident that the 5-day period provided for the filing process, as opposed to the 2 days provided in previous nomination processes, will allow enough time for presidential candidates to correct any errors identified in their forms. We believe that this would help eliminate the tension and rancor that characterized previous nomination processes.
And so that's Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madam Jean Mensah there. Now, my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson joins me in the studio. Parker, your pitch camp today at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. After the President left, there were others who also walked in to file their nomination. Who are these people?
Okay, so the first person to file the nomination today was Jacob Osei-Yeboah, a 2016 independent presidential candidate. Now, we
actually know him from 2012.
Yeah, we know him
from
2012. Joy 2012, Joy 2016. And it would interest you to know that this time round, he's not contesting as an independent presidential candidate, but rather he's going to partner an independent candidate in the name of Alfred Kwame Walker. Now, when he walked,
so he is not the flag.
He's not the presidential candidate for this year.
Exactly.
He's going to be the running mate for this year.
Okay.
To Alfred Kwame Walker. Now, in fact, when he walked into the EC's conference room, we all thought that he had come to file as an independent candidate for this year's election. And so, after the process, we engaged him, and he explained to us that he's been trying to rally all the independent candidates to support one person, and as a sign of true leadership, he decided to step down for Alfred Kwame Walker to be the independent candidate. Then he was nominated as the running mate to this candidate. So he was there in his capacity as a running mate to an independent president candidate for.
So Jacob Osei-Yeboah will not be on the ballot.
He will not be on the ballot for 2020 election.
Now, after Jacob Osei-Yeboah left the commission, we also had Sopho Cherbosom,
Yes, Christian Kobna Andrews, as he is popularly known, Sofo Chirabosom, was also there this evening. He filed his nominations, and he actually tasked the Electoral Commission to prove what he says, her neutrality going forward into this election, because there are questions about the credibility of the commission, the allegations that the EC is being biased, and so for him as a flag bearer, he would want the commission to create a level playing field for all parties to ensure that at least everybody gets the fair share, so that this election will be credible. So that was the charge to the Electoral Commission after he filed his nomination. And just as Alton explained, the EC is just receiving the nomination forms. They haven't successfully filed. After they go through the forms, that is when they can say that they've approved of your nomination,
and that they now are candidates for the election. But I understand Madame Bukiadonko was there again this year. Yes, in fact, I met her this afternoon. She was there, and she actually I granted an interview with her when she told me that she's here to file the nomination with her running mates. And so we're expecting that after Sofo Chirabosom, she will be the next person to file the nomination forms. But unfortunately, we were told by Madame Soviano that Bukiadonko has changed her mind, and has decided to postpone the filing of nomination, and that she will be there somewhere Thursday. In fact, we don't know the reason why she decided to reschedule the filing of the nomination, but that is what we're told by Soviano. And you've been speaking to her. We'll hear more on that in our subsequent bulletins. But Baka, thank you very much. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the Director of Elections for the Electoral Commission, Dr. Sribo Kweku. He joins us. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. So, the chairperson of the Commission has indicated today that there are two teams, IT and legal teams, that are going to be going through the nomination forms presented by the aspirants. First of all, would want to know, especially because the President wanted to go through the process and close the chapter today, are they working within a specific time frame?
You mentioned that there are two teams, technical and IT, not legal. Very well, technical and IT. Very well. Then I come again with your question.
Yes, I just want to know the time frame in which these teams are supposed to work, and when the various aspirants can hope that the EC will clear them and declare them candidates for the election.
Yeah, we are getting to all the districts to fish out the details about those who have been identified as supporters and the rest. So we'll finish them overnight. Then tomorrow morning, the report will be ready before we start the next day's activity.
If you can come again, sir, with that explanation.
What I said was that once they submit them, we need to go into the database to look for all the 530-something names who have been identified as supporters, get their particulars and check whether they are in. So we will go through all of them, get the information needed before we close for the day. So before we start the next day's activities, the report will be ready, but not to the public.
And you are talking about the two from the various districts that are supposed to sign these forms delivered by the aspirants.
Exactly.
And you had the President talk about delivering a credible, a fair, transparent elections, that he will not want to be a beneficiary of a crooked system. Weeks ago, we had the former president, the flag bearer of the NDC, saying that he will not accept the result of a flawed elections. Hearing these two major candidates make such statements, how does the EC react to this?
We are comfortable because we are sure that we are going to give Ghanaians the most credible election ever conducted in the country. So these are just falling into our expectations. It is our responsibility to ensure credible elections. So to be an antithesis if we do anything contrary.
Dr. Zerba, I want you to hold the line for me. I'll come to you shortly because Codeo today released a report ahead of the elections, and this is for the month of September as far as the observation is concerned. They raised issues about the register, for instance, and also about a fair and credible elections, which I'll put to you so you can give us some responses to. But we've been joined by the national organizer of the NPP, Samia Uku. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. The president did say that he would not want to be a beneficiary of a flawed elections. Was he indirectly responding to the former president and the NDC, who have consistently said that the EC is working to rig the elections in his favor?
Well, first of all, let me say good evening to your cherished listeners. For us in the MPP, we are clear in our minds that we don't want to be product of a flawed process. We also don't want to be product of an election that will not be accepted by the Ghanaian people. And that is why we are determined that at every step of the way, we will also help the Electoral Commission of Ghana to also conduct a credible, free, fair, transparent elections. His Excellency the President, who also happens to be the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, today also treated the same position of the party. And we are convinced that this elections will also be won on the strength of our record in government and the kind of performance that we've put up since assuming the reins of government on the 7th of January 2017 up to date. So, yes, not responding directly to Mr. President, to the former president, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, but for us, that has been our principle as well. And that is why His Excellency, the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in 2012, when we had disagreements with the way the process was conducted, we also did go to court. In 2016, we put our acts together. We made sure that we opened our eyes, every I was also dotted and every T was crossed. Also to make sure that we won convincing on the ground. And definitely in 2020, we believe that we are going to go by the same process as the party.
Which is why it is curious that the president will go ahead to make such comments. To begin with, he's won the elections in 2016, like you just said, convincingly. These are people he appointed and expressed confidence they could do the job. In fact, today he did say that the work they've done so far is satisfactory. I'm wondering what will necessitate such a comment from the president.
Well, the president also did indicate that they are the referees, the Electoral Commission, but the decision lies with the Ghanaian people. And so once the measures put in place will also aid the Ghanaian people to make a decision out of their own free will and out of their clear conviction and out of what they have listened from all the political parties campaigning. We believe strongly that and when the process is also free, fair, transparent, which the Electoral Commission, led by Madame Jean Mensa, they have also stated on numerous occasions. We believe that if the process is fair, free and transparent, the NPP will emerge victorious. The fact that the NPP won convincingly in 2016 doesn't mean that the NPP should take chances in 2020. Every election has its own dynamics, and this is a human institution. And we also don't want to be favored, and we don't want the Electoral Commission to favor anybody. Don't favor the NDC, don't favor the MPP, don't favor the CPP or PNC. Let the Ghanaian people decide whom they want to lead in 2021 going. So that was our position. The NPP, we don't want to be favored, and we don't want the EC to favor any other political party as well.
And Mr. Uku, just a little bit away from what happened today at the Electoral Commission headquarters. Today we had Codeo release a report, and they find a number of things. I just want to read this to you, this angle that has to do with abuse of incumbency. It says that there were a few reports about the use of official public or state-supported or state-organized events for political campaigning. These included the use of public vehicles for campaigning activities. For instance, on September 2, 2020, an official vehicle of the Joaboso District Assembly was used to convey some political party supporters on a campaign tour. And just recently, over the weekend, we saw the former president post on his Facebook page a police vehicle that's being used to convey people who are purported to be members of your party, holding party paraphernalia and all of that. How are you funding your campaign?
That's very interesting. And it's a report that, as a party, we would like to have to study, and then we can make some meaningful conclusions or take a position on it. However, if you ask me how the NPP is funding its campaign, we did fund our campaign in 2016 from the love and the generosity of the people who believed in our candidates, our party's position on matters, and the promises we made, and the integrity and the character of our presidential candidate. We did go to the people. Again, within the next 2 weeks, the NPP is also once again going to go to the Ghanaian people to launch another program where people can also support us to adopt the various polling stations and constituencies, which I'm sure this should be rolled out within the next 14 days. We are not funding the activities of the NPP through the state apparatus, which we've never believed in that anyway. The president himself, on numerous occasions, has made it clear that let's always ensure that the little we can mobilize among ourselves as party people, we use it to fund our campaign. Today, across the country, as if we are in opposition, look at the giant billboards being erected by the largest opposition party. Compare that to that of the ruling party. It's like a father and son game. But we've always believed in that modesty. And also, that is how we are going to go. That's how we are approaching this election. We'll go back to the Ghanaian people that indeed, the same modesty that you voted for us in 2016, we come to you once again that this is what we've done within the last 4 years that you voted for us. And on the strength of our record and the character and integrity of our presidential candidate. And again, on what we want to do for the Ghanaian people, around 2 of free SHS, around 2 of planting for food and jobs, around 2 of all the goodies of the 1D1 FNO, we believe that another opportunity of 4 more for Nana to do more for us. That is why we come into you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Uku. That's Samuel Uku. He is the national organizer of the governing New Patriotic Party. We still have on the line the Director of Elections for the EC, Dr. Siri Bokweku. Sir, thank you very much for holding on. Just a bit of clarity for the teams, for the technical and IT teams that are working on the nomination. Are these... are the committee, the teams put together, are these your staff already? Are these people who are working with the EC already?
Hello?
Yes, are these people working with the EC already? Are they staff of the Electoral Commission?
Staff. Yes, they are our permanent staff.
Okay.
So what we are doing is that the technical team is made up of those of us who are key people and lawyers within the commission. So the constitution has sort out the requirements for you to be a presidential candidate. So when you bring the form, the technical team will look at the technical aspect of it in terms of legal requirements. Then after they have gone through, for example, the person should be 40 years, it should come with a running mate, it should come with a deposit, it should be a registered voter, and those things. So we will look at all these things, and once we are sure of them, then we refer the documents to the IT team. The IT team will go into the database, then come out to find out whether those people, the candidate and their supporters, are all registered voters. That's what the IT team will also do. They are only confirming or denying that the people who have been nominated or who have been supported, who have supported the candidates, are actually registered voters.
Very well. Now let's look at the Codeo report, which was issued today. Now, they raised issues about the registration exercise and the mop-up that was done, and a lot of issues that came up during the exhibition. First of all, the Commission is saying that there are outstanding issues that will be imperative for the EC to address, and more importantly, for a credible, transparent, and free elections, the EC must provide the voters register, the provisional voters register, to the parties in time to make sure that we do not have issues going into the elections. Can you bring us a response to that and bring us some timeline?
Register, not a provisional.
Yes,
the
sir.
provision was given before exhibition. Now the final one, as you say, we are giving to them around 11th of November. So they will have approximately 1 month before the elections. They will get them.
1 month to the elections.
We are planning to give them by 11th of November.
Okay, so by the 11th of November, the party should have their copies of the register.
Exactly. We could have even given them earlier, but because we should finish with the transfers and the special voters compilation before you can give the results out.
Now, today the security agencies have been speaking in the northern, the upper west region, and they've identified 300 flash points there, and also 70 in the eastern region. We saw what happened with the registration exercise, where some areas turned bloody and all. How is the Electoral Commission again working with these agencies to ensure that we have a peaceful election?
Yeah, we have the Election Security Task Force, but I have been saying that as far as this election is concerned, every polling station is a potential flash point. So we should be careful. We are not deceived into thinking that A is a flash point, then we leave the B and somebody take advantage of the B. So all polling stations should be seen as potential flash points and prepare ourselves to provide security.
Thank you very much. And that's the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Seribo Akweku, join us here on Top Story, which is brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion, GASM, the Nation Builder, and Vodafone. The future's exciting. Ready? We're back after this break with Newsnight.